Okay, so I'm going to waffle on about archery because I do archery as a hobby and have been doing for about 8 years. And I think that people have a tendency to think that archery is a piece of wood with a twig, like a twig with a piece of string on the end, and it's really not. I mean, it used to be back in the 1400s that the only kind of bows that were in this country certainly were longbows, and technically speaking, if it wasn't for the longbow, we would probably all be speaking French right now because of the Battle of Crécy and the Battle of Agincourt. The English army, as well as having foot soldiers and cavalry, we had a lot of archers who shot longbows. And when you're shooting 6 arrows a minute and you've got about 600 people shooting 6 arrows a minute, that's a lot of arrows raining down on the French army, and as a result they could do absolutely nothing about it. Because at the Battle of Agincourt the English army were massively outnumbered. I mean, it was ridiculous how many soldiers they had in comparison to our army. So, archers save the day every now and again. But archery has changed a lot over the years. I mean, longbows are still a very popular form of archery. My dad shoots a longbow. But nowadays we have a lot more types of bows in competition. For example, I shoot a bow called a recurve, which is made of, the limbs are made of fiberglass, and there's a lot of carbon involved. My arrows are carbon aluminium and very, very finely crafted and finely tuned. It's very, very technical. But then again, another side of technical archery, there is a bow called the compound bow, which is, I would think, is even more technical than my kind of bow. It's a lot shorter. They tend to be about, I can't really show you, about this short. And they have pulleys on each end, which means that you are able to hold a lot more weight. So send an arrow off with a lot more power without actually feeling it, because when the pulleys come into action, it feels like you're holding about 15-20 pounds worth of weight, whereas actually you're holding about 50-60 pounds. So they are very, very, very powerful, and they are usually what they use in America for hunting. In fact, they have a law in America that if you want to go hunting with a compound bow, it has to be 40 pounds or more, because apparently that is the minimum weight that can kill an animal with one shot. For humane reasons. And I once went over to America to do an archery competition, and there were a load of little 5, 6, 7-year-old boys walking around with 40-pound bows, which is insane because they couldn't pull that weight back. They were really, really struggling to get their bows back because they were pulling all this weight. But, their dads are like, well, they want to come hunting with me. So, they have no choice. It's the law. But as a result, they were all kind of walking around with these big deformed shoulders. So that was a bit crazy. But of course, you still have the longbow, you have the recurve, you have the compound. You also have the crossbow, but you need to have a special license in this country to own a crossbow because they are so powerful and deadly, but only at short distances. Whereas I, for example, could kill someone at about 100 yards away, so stay on the right side of me. So yeah, it's a great sport, it really is. I think people think that it's a bit geeky, but it's actually pretty cool when you get down to it, and it's such good fun to do. If you ever get the chance to do it, please just have a go, it's great fun. And the archery is in the Olympics, it's coming up in about a week's time, and it won't get as much coverage as some of the other things do, because they never do. The Archery World Cup, for example, was actually hosted in this country a couple of years ago, and one of the great British teams won it. We won the Archery World Cup, and there was absolutely no coverage of it on the TV, but what can you do? So yeah, try and find it, watch it in the Olympics, and if you ever get the chance, have a go at it. It's great fun. Thank you.